We get into going out and working on the bike. I did get some parts, got some stuff from Nibbi, and we did get some maintenance stuff, as you've seen. I'm not really going to show that because this is basic maintenance that people should have did when they had the bike, and you know, little odds and ends stuff you'll see in this build also, like a different front sprocket, different rear sprocket, different chain, just your normal dirt bike build. But I want to show the oddball stuff that I got that's important to make any dirt bike build better. And what I mean by that, this is a little XR100. They don't have a lot of power from the factory. They're lean from the factory. They bog a little bit. You can tune that carburetor perfect and they'll still have a hair of a bog in them because they're just lean from the factory. Because this is a little XR100. And a lot of people put a big bore kit in it, and that's perfectly fine, but they don't upgrade anything else. And today I'm going to show you, we're going to start this build on a little XR100. This can apply to a lot of dirt bikes, but it's got a big bore kit in it. And these performance parts will actually help it actually gain more power. It rips now with the big bore kit in it, but with this stuff, it's going to rip even harder. So I want to go ahead and take a look at some of the stuff we got here. First, I want to take a look at the carburetor that Nibbi makes for these bikes and Hondas and the other dirt bikes around this time that had these carburetors. Now, your dirt bike will have this style of carburetor. There's clones out there. This is just your basic carburetor. I will make a separate video, this versus the Nibbi. This is what comes on your Honda, whether it's a clone or the original one. This is exactly what it looks like. Has the fuel air mixture at the bottom, which is a pain to adjust. Has your idle control screw, and then it has your choke right here on the side, and your throttle goes on the top. Just your typical carburetor. These are on everything, even pit bikes, Japanese bikes, even like the little mini bikes that you buy, sometimes they're on there also. But let's go ahead and take a look at the Nibbi and why I chose the Nibbi. They have different versions of this carburetor, and depending on your application, they have two different types. This is the type we're going to be running because it matches our bike. Comes with the jets. This thing's ready to put on. It has jets already in it, so these are just other jets to dial it in. But it has the flange style. It will bolt right to the intake, and as you can see, it has a great big opening. They have different sizes. You can get on their website and check it out. This is what will work for my bike with the big bore kit, and I do believe this will work stock because we did put one of these on a stock one before, and we tuned it just right, and it actually worked. But this has the flange, has the choke. A lot easier to adjust your idle, and it has the air fuel mixture right here on the side. So when you're trying to adjust it on your dirt bike, it's right there on the side instead of the bottom, and you're not burning your hand on the motor. There's some things that's noticeably different. Like I said, I'll make a video versus the stock carburetor, but you can tell how big this is and how much shinier and clean all this is. So that's like chrome in there compared to the stock one. It's real rough. It's a lot better setup. But basically, the flange will bolt right up, and your intake side is a lot bigger. This will fit inside of it. So this will help with the power curve, and it'll suck in a lot more air, and I'll be able to tune in that big bore kit. Now, like I was saying earlier, there are two different types of Nibbi carburetors. In this style, you have the flange style, and then you have a coupling style, which you can buy the coupling to bolt to your intake, and then this will just pop over there, and it comes with clamps. So there's two different style Nibbis in this configuration. They have another sets of carburetors on the website. Like I said, go on their website, check them out. But this is what we're going to be running on the XR100 build, and I love their carburetors. You can't beat them. They tune up very well, don't have many problems out of them, and honestly, that's a special part that I wanted to show you guys. And if you're doing a little CRF or a XR100 or anything that takes carburetor like this, I do recommend getting a Nibbi carburetor because they are actually really nice, and plus it comes with stickers. So pretty cool. Now another thing that I'm going to be modifying is the air box. As you've seen, that had a really big intake, and they have an air filter that actually goes on the outside of it that fits perfect on the carburetor. This will bolt right on. You can, you know, put it where you need it to. But I'm going to modify my stock airbox hose, and I'm going to be putting this inside the airbox and modifying it where it can suck air, kind of like a cold air intake, because I do hit a little bit of mud and I don't want to suck in water while I'm riding. So we're going to modify this to work with that. This already works with that, but I'm going to modify it to work with my bike. Really nice air filter. You can't beat it. It's not like just a typical pod filter. This has like fins on the outside, so I highly doubt you'd suck in a whole lot of water with this. It's not like a foam filter sticking out. There's a lot of protection here. But we hit a lot of mud holes here in West Virginia, so this will help. Another thing that I like about Nibbi, what they sell, and I love this, is this helps the dirt bike that I have, the way it feels, is they have a throttle. And honestly, this thing is super nice. It feels super nice, and it feels really beefy, and I do like this. So this is going to help the XR feel a lot better, and it just overall makes it feel a little bit more I guess expensive. Nibbi has really good products. Like I said, I love their stuff, and it's not a whole lot of money, and honestly, little upgrades like this will make this bike really, really nice, and you can't beat it. So we got a throttle handle, and another thing that I like this company sells, and they're not very much, are the lock-on grips. They have a bunch of different stuff back here for it. You don't have to use glue or wire to hold it on. You have the locking system, and you have throttle cams to match the most modern 2- and 4-stroke applications. So that's what I like about the grips that they sell. Honestly, they're super, super nice. And like I said, it has the locking ring right here, and these feel really, really nice. And I like the collar. I can just look down and grab real quick. I don't have to really pay attention to what's going on. So that's the cool products that I got for the build. And I do like their goggles. Like I said, their goggles are not a whole lot either. So we went ahead and got some goggles. These are actually pretty stinking cool. I mean, you can't beat it for what, you know, they charge for these. They're anti-fog, anti-scratch. It has an oversized 45mm silicone grip strap. It has moisture managing foam. It includes a little microfiber bag for the goggles, which is really, really nice. I like it for the price and the way these goggles feel and the way they are on your head and over your eyes. These are like really, really cool goggles. If you're building a little dirt bike like I am, or you got a dirt bike and you want to upgrade some stuff, definitely check out Nibbi. They have some really cool products for a decent price for a builder like me, and honestly, for the price that this stuff costs, you're getting really nice products, especially the goggles, man. I love the goggles. I love the bag that comes with it. So let's get out here and start building this bike. It's going to be a couple episodes on this bike because we got a lot of maintenance and a lot of stuff to do. So I just wanted to show you the important parts that's going to help upgrade the power of this bike and change the way it feels and rides. Like I said, a couple episodes, and you're going to see a clapped out XR100 turn into a pretty nice bike that a mid-size adult or an older kid can ride, because we all know that the XR100 has soft suspension and it also has low power. So these are the awesome parts that I got for it. So let's go out here and start building this bike. So this is the bike. We're going to take everything off the handlebars. There's a bunch of janky stuff on here. We're going to paint some stuff up also. The rattling that you hear in the video is the shield that needs fixed. Like I said, there's a lot of maintenance on this bike. It needs fixed. So we're just going to go ahead and start disassembling the handlebars and the stuff they have rigged on the handlebars. Especially these hand guards, they were rigged on there. So we're going to go ahead and do away with those and get ones that actually fit it, instead of just trying to rig a full-size bike set on there. So we're going to go ahead and take everything off. We're going to put different handlebars on here to make the bike pop. All this stuff is pretty self-explanatory. You just unbolt everything. I'm leaving it hang for now until I get the new handlebars on. And we got it all stripped down. I'm just taking the last bolts out of the handlebars. I'm just going to pop them up. I sat on it to see if I wanted to raise the handlebars, but I like actually where they're at. So we're just going to put them back where they were. So let's go ahead and stick the new handlebars on. Tighten it down. Make sure they don't move if you hit a bump or maybe wreck. I like to put a little torque on them. We went ahead and put all the new brake levers on and all that stuff. Pretty self-explanatory. We're going to go ahead and put the Nibbi grips on, which is pretty self-explanatory. You just pull the old ones off. You might have to take a little hammer to pound the new ones on because they're a little bit tight of a fit. But you get it on there. You tighten down the lock ring. Now we're going to go ahead and put the Nibbi throttle on, which it'll help this bike a lot. If you haven't worked on dirt bikes much, and you're scared to work on them, honestly, they're not that hard to work on. It's super easy. There's nothing hard about it. So yeah, it's pretty easy. There's the throttle cable. Go ahead and pop this little plastic piece out that lets the throttle cable release in the stock unit. And you just go ahead and you pull it through. Here's the new one. You take the top off of it. You take the little wheel out. And you go ahead and slide your throttle cable in. And I had to adjust the adjuster all the way in to give me as much slack as I could get. Pop it in the hole. Pull it back. And then slide your wheel in. And then you put your top piece back on. And this throttle feels really, really good. It's going to make this bike feel a whole lot different also. You just put your plastic piece back on and tighten it down. Once you get it tightened down, you can go ahead and slide it on the bike, which it's super easy to do, nothing hard about it. Everything on a dirt bike is super simple. That's what I like about little dirt bike builds. They're fun and they're not hard to do, and you don't run into major problems. So you just slip it right up on the handlebars, put it where you need it to be, make sure your brake works, and mine does clear, and you go ahead and tighten it down. So I'm super impressed with the Nibbi throttle. It's actually really nice. I went ahead and adjusted up the throttle cable, and it works really, really well. Go ahead and slide the grip on. Now we're going to go ahead and get this old carburetor out. It's a 10 millimeter. There is a nut on each side. Pretty self-explanatory. These ain't super tight. Make sure you're in a well ventilated area because you will smell gas. So once you got the nuts off, the carburetor should slide right off. I go ahead and slide the carburetor off before I take the throttle cable out, so I have a little bit more room to work with. So it slides out, you unscrew the top, and there's a spring and a barrel and a needle. I just hold the spring and barrel together, and then you can pull the throttle cable right out of the side. You might have to fight with it a little bit, but it's pretty easy, honestly. It'll pop right out. just like that. Now we're going to do away with all this stuff because the new Nibbi comes with everything I need. So we're going to go ahead and bolt it on. And bolt the other side up, tighten it down. Then we're going to unscrew the throttle top. And there's going to be a little plastic thing that you're going to have to run the throttle needle through in the spring, so don't forget that. Right here's that plastic piece. Put it on. You put the spring in, and then you put your throttle cable in, and bam, there it is, ready to screw down in the top. And you just push it down in there, make sure you get it in line, and make sure it goes clear to the bottom of the carburetor. And you just go ahead and tighten down the top. Pretty self-explanatory, nothing too hard about it. So I'm going to work the throttle, and as you can see, it's a smooth throttle work, and I honestly love it. Now the airbox tube, I reused it. I just flipped it around, used a big part on the Nibbi carburetor. I trimmed the part back where I can still use the crankcase vent, and I put the cone filter behind the seat, and I cut the airbox in two so it keeps mud from getting on the filter, as you can see here. Keeps the factory mud flap, and it keeps that filter back in there. It's tucked under the seat. The gas tank will go here, but it keeps it tucked under the seat, and a whole lot of water and mud won't get in it. You have your idle and your air mixture, and you have your choke back here, and the pod filter is hidden, so it's not going to get soaked with water and mud. It's protected very well.